AM 1220, KHTS, hometownstation.com. I am your afternoon tea. We are here today. For the most part, I'm here Monday through Friday, 3 to 7, and I talk about traffic, and I talk about the things in the Santa Clarita Valley that have heart. Mostly because I love this valley and I love its inhabitants. We have a very special one of our guests here today. Christy O'Donnell, who I had the pleasure to speak with before, has come in again tonight, having just come back from Sacramento. This was a trip she had made on behalf of her own issues, but not just her own issues. Christy is speaking for an awful lot of people, supporters of the End of Life Option Act. Now, Christy is just one of these individuals, and I've said before, she is a truly powerful warrior who's out there in the trenches, not just for herself, but for everyone else. She's just come back from Sacramento at the California's Assembly. They had a special session, Public Health Committee, and they have approved the End of Life Option Act. Now, this was by 10 to 3, but this is not over yet. Christy, thank you for being here today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you again. I am so proud of our hometown station for supporting this bill. Proud of you. I'm just thrilled to be back here. I really appreciate it.
Well, I for one, I am so grateful to you. The idea that in the face of everything that you are up against right now, this is not just about you. Now, you were quoted as saying recently that one of the things you have asked for, you told Senate that you're in favor of this because every human being deserves an option. So this is not just about you. And I truly believe you are one of the great warrior women out there to be able to do this on behalf of so many individuals, but that you want people to have an option. You want them to have a choice, no matter what their faith, no matter what, they deserve the choice, because knowing what you are up against, this isn't the great unknown. This isn't the what could happen to you. You are very aware. You're an intelligent woman. You're an attorney. You're a civil rights attorney. So you are well versed in what you're talking about. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened on your trip to Sacramento? We've already lamented the idea that travel is just a pain in the rumpus, and you had to go really not feeling too good. You're exhausted, but you went up there under not the greatest conditions. Everybody complains about traveling, but you went for a cause. Tell me a little bit about your activity while you were there.
Yeah, I was so proud, on September 1st that the Assembly Health Committee, it's a special health committee essentially that they've put together, passed this by 10 to 3. And most importantly, for the very first time, this is a bipartisan bill. So essentially, we've got two Republicans who walked up to that plate and decided, you know what, this is the right thing to do. One in particular, Assemblywoman Baker, read a letter from a lady in her constituency who essentially said, I just watched my mom die really painfully over 2 weeks, and yet last week I was able to put my dog to bed peacefully. She said, you know what, when I have people like this writing to me, she's like, I have to vote aye or yes on this bill. I mean, I was just very, very touched that finally it's getting through to people that this should be a choice for every single human being.
It should be a choice, and as you say, our pets, there's a level of compassion, and if you speak to people who own a pet, they don't have family members or children, they love those pets so fiercely, they don't want them to be for a moment in any kind of pain and discomfort. And you have cancer. Walk me through. It's not just one type of cancer. You've unfortunately.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere in your body.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's started out in my lung, 3 tumors in my brain, spread to my spine, my rib. It's throughout my liver at this point. I'm really at the end of my treatment. So even for me to get to Sacramento is very painful, a lot of pain medication. Clearly I couldn't do it without the support of my kid, Bailey, who's, been there 100% every step of the way. She wasn't able to come with me up to Sacramento this last time, but this vote is so close this civil rights movement is so close to being near the end, that really everybody's working so hard for a final push. And I cannot tell you how touched I was after the hearing, when it went through the health committee, to have literally hundreds of people come up to you and share personal stories about how they watched their parents die painfully, their daughter, their sisters, and to think that they now have a small chance to never have to have somebody else experience that. I don't want my daughter to experience that ever.
No, and Bailey, she's a very strong young lady. She's been at your side through all of this, and she's been educated and knows very well what you're up against. Christy, I want to point out again, you did everything right. You were a vegetarian. You were a non-smoker. You worked out. You led your life in such a way that we don't know where this came from. We don't know the purpose of this. So we don't know how it originated, what happened, but it is very textbook what comes of this. And it is across the board. I've had my own experience with cancer patients and with hospice and palliative care, and I know the difference, and I know what patients are up against. And I know that when you have the opportunity to speak for yourself, this is the greatest gift you could provide to your child. You're not having her make the decisions. You're not having your family make those choices for you. This is you, of sound mind, of sound body, saying that this is what you want. And the idea, I am still truly in awe of your strength, not just physically to go through this, not just emotionally to go through this, but to stand up and be calm and to be passionate all at the same time and articulate, to say you want this for everyone. You came up against a lot of opposition, but this time to be in Sacramento and to have those numbers, 10-3, and the state of California, isn't it something like 70% for the most part?
Absolutely.
Are behind you, or want this very same thing.
70% of Californians, 60% of Catholics, which is an astounding number, want this and are essentially saying, whether we in our religion choose this for ourselves, it's not for us to go ahead and prevent other people from making this personal choice. So, for me, that's very clear. And I thought I knew how important it was for me as a mom to have my daughter next to me and hold my hand while I took my last breaths. And I got to experience that because less than 2 weeks ago, my mom, completely undiagnosed, stage 4 cancer.
And you didn't know this till after?
No, did not know this. Got a call essentially saying, your mom's in the hospital. Did not know it. And I was there, when she took her last breaths of stage 4 cancer, and being able to hold her hand and knowing that she went peacefully made all the difference in the world. But the reason she did go peacefully is because the doctors, the palliative care doctors, and the health system in Oregon are used to that.
Your mother was in Oregon, where they have the right to die act.
Correct.
Now, you're also morphine intolerant, so where every cancer patient knows the end of their life will involve pain, other cancer patients will have, at least for the most part, options for pain relief. This is not something that is an option for you. No. And knowing that you are faced with unbearable pain, you're walking with it now. And I know that this is difficult for you, but to come to that place where you don't have that choice, other patients do. So the idea that you're asking your doctors for the dignity, for the opportunity to have some kind of peace and comfort for both you, your daughter, your family members, the people who love you, it's truly one of the most humane questions and requests you could make.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just constantly astounded. The other day, I was talking with one of my associates, an attorney who used to work for me, and she was talking about the choice that she was making for her birth plan. And it just struck me that, women and husbands, wives, families, they can make all these decisions about the way they want to bring their child, for example, into this world. But we still in California don't have a choice about the way we want to leave this world. So it's when I see things like that I'm just struck with the injustice for anybody to tell you that the way that you die, that your options at the end of your death are limited because of the law. It's very frustrating. It's very hurtful because not everybody's body is the same. Right. Mine, like you said, it's morphine intolerant, and that is the drug of choice for someone going into hospice.
And again, the choice for your own body. While there are debates raging across the nation about abortion laws where you are affecting another entity, this isn't about anyone but you. And all you're trying to do is save your family and your loved ones and yourself from unspeakable pain and distress. Having been present, as I've said before, with someone, a number of people at this point in their lives as they pass, I remember one of the things that was most important to me with one particular patient was the dignity. Her lungs filled with fluid, and as the body began to collapse, keeping her clean, Christy, was a huge event. And there were 3 of us around the clock in with her, and it was nonstop. And all I could think at the time was, if this woman knew what was happening to her, because at this point she was on morphine, she was medicated, if she had known, she would have been furious that this was the way she was departing. And she did not have that option. She did not have that conversation. This is one of the other things I've spoken with you about, is the idea that you are making it important. Maybe not comfortable, but important to talk about. This has to be, I know for you and for Bailey, to have had these conversations over and over and over, has to be mind-numbingly difficult. But I'm so proud and pleased and honored to know you, because I think the idea that you are opening the doors for people all across the nation to have these conversations are incredibly important, about dignity, about pain, about the various issues. Now, Christy, I know, as we've said, the battle's not over. What is next? What happens? I know over the next few days there are meetings and assemblies taking place. What's next?
Things are going to happen extremely fast right now. So, I mean, the most important message I want to get out is, if you believe in this at all, even if it's not a choice for yourself, if you believe other people should have a choice, you have to act now, because what's happening is that the governor's called a exigent emergency session that they're trying to pass the bill through on. So we literally have a few days. There's, a judiciary committee vote, a finance committee vote. Then this bill goes to the entire assembly. And we are so close to think that, hundreds or thousands of people in California may have to suffer and be in pain and have their children, like I face, watching me die in pain, just breaks my heart. Mm-hmm. So, again, as we asked for before, please go to the Compassion and Choices website. Call your senator, call your assembly member, literally Google, find out who they are. I've posted it. I know KHTS has posted it previously. Let them know that this is something that's needed, and it's needed now, because if you sit and you wait, a couple of weeks to do it, it's not going to happen this session. We're going to be waiting another year or two. Will it pass on a ballot if it gets put up for next year? Yeah, I'm pretty confident it will. But in the interim, you've got hundreds and thousands of people who died in pain just because people didn't speak up.
How will this affect you if they are able to do this in this short-term process? What does this mean for you?
I mean, for both Bailey and I, if this becomes lawful while I'm still alive in the next, couple months, it will profoundly change, not just for me, but most importantly, it will change what my daughter has to carry as an emotional memory of my death for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
So that is very profound for anyone like yourself who has witnessed and had to care for someone with a stage 4 illness and to watch them die. If it was not a peaceful memory for them, carrying that the rest of your life is extremely traumatic, and it's something that when it can be medically avoided, legally avoided, nobody should have to go through that, ever.
Nobody should have to go through that. Can I ask you, Christy, if people want to reach out and start writing the letter, start doing what needs to be done, tell me how we help you, how we help one another with this.
Exactly. How do you help yourselves, your families? Because you don't know that tomorrow, just like Bailey and I, you're not going to walk into an ER and get a stage 4 diagnosis. You go to www.compassionandchoices, spelled out.org. You'll see a little box that said, how do I take action? You click the box, you put in your contact information, click send. It takes 30 seconds to make a life-changing decision for my daughter and I, and for the thousands of other Californians who may die and are going to soon die this year.
It's as little effort as picking up a mouse. It doesn't have to be that complicated.
No. Compassion and Choices and these organizations have worked very hard to streamline things. And if you have more time, bless you, pick up the phone, Google and find out who your senator, who your assembly members are. For us in the Santa Clarita Valley here, essentially we've got Assembly Member Scott Wook, we've got Senator Sharon Runner. Their information is public. Give them a call on the telephone. Pile up those messages for your assembly members and your senators and let them know. Tell them how old you are. Tell them what your experiences are. Are you for this? Are you against this? I'm just saying, have a voice.
And if you're on social media, one of the easiest ways you can share this, and again, whether you believe or not, the idea that someone can have the power of their own body, their own choice, they can put the link on their social media and share that.
Absolutely. And I would beg them to do it, and to do it now. Don't wait. This is not something that you want to wait on, because, I was diagnosed on June 25th, 2014. And on June 24th, Bailey and my life looked very different. And if I had heard this broadcast, I would have said to myself, driving my way home to Santa Clarita Valley in my hour-long commute that I'd made for 15 years, this doesn't affect me. And 24 hours later, it did.
It did. It absolutely did. This diagnosis came for you over a year ago. And the hard question is, what is the prognosis? Where are you today, and what are you up against? I know every day you deal with pain. I know every day you deal with fatigue.
Yes. The pain is pretty significant now. I mean, I'm not going to kid you about that. I was in here, a month ago?
Yeah.
The pain's very significant. I'm on Percocet is one of the few medications that my body is able to tolerate. I take a lot of it, and it barely takes the edge off the pain.
Yeah.
I sleep a lot to come in here and have the energy to do the show.
And I thank you again. I know it's a huge effort to just be in the door. Thank you.
I'm happy to be here. You guys have been very supportive of this effort. You've been supportive of both my daughter and I living in here in Santa Clarita Valley. We've lived here over a decade. I owned a law firm here. My daughter went to elementary school here, high school here. She goes to college here. Her best friend Victoria lives with us. Same thing. We have chosen to live in Santa Clarita Valley. Thus far, we are not aware that either our assembly member or our senator is going to vote in favor of this act, and it breaks my heart because myself and another stage 4 patient here in the Santa Clarita Valley have started a stage 4 support group. And what the representatives don't realize is there are hundreds, literally hundreds, just here in the Santa Clarita Valley of terminally ill patients that are going to die this year.
Christy, I'm glad you came to Santa Clarita, that this was your choice, and that you know our valley is a compassionate place, and we care very much for you. We ask you to go to compassionandchoices.org. Don't just go and then share compassionandchoices.org on your social media to help Christy. If there was one other thing that we could do for you, what would it be?
I would ask you not to do something for me. I would ask you to do something for everyone else that is suffering, that is going to be diagnosed this year, which is thousands. Make a difference for them and give them the choice that they want to die in the manner that they want to.
I love that your wish is for everyone. Christy, you're an amazing woman. Christy O'Donnell, again, I'm going to ask you to go to compassionandchoices.org. Let your voice be heard, regardless of what you believe. But if you think a person should have the choice for their own body and the opportunity, that choice to die peacefully, for Christy and for everyone else, I ask that you make this happen. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.